When I produced B.J. Thomas's album, he was already a star, but not a Christian star. And then that went gold and then now eventually platinum with an album called Home Where I Belong. So when Word asked me to do 5 a year for 5 years and they'd pay for it, that was manna from heaven, because the reason I came to Nashville was to make records. It wasn't to do Christian records, it was to make records and to write songs. And so signed Amy Grant was the first artist I signed to my production company to put through Word's distribution deal. Well, Bannister, my engineer, had brought the tape, and I really wanted him to kind of be her producer, but they had signed the record deal with me. It was with my publisher, and I had the track record. I just had the track record, so I didn't want on my first project to give Word on this 25 album deal to go get somebody else to produce, because they signed it for me, you know. So I said, look, Brown, I'll be the producer on this album. And there was a song, Beautiful Music, that I really had I did, and I mixed, I think I helped mix all the album. I was very involved. But Brown really carried the heavy weight. And I said, Brown, if this is successful, then you could just be the producer for Home Sweet Home Productions, for Amy, which is my company. You can be the producer for Amy from then on, if it's successful. If it's not successful, we'll just say I screwed up. I blew it. And so Brown kind of had a no-lose situation. If it was big, then we said, oh, Brown did a lot of that too. And if it didn't work, it's like, well, gee, I can't do them all. They don't all work. So we cut for like almost 2 years. And it's a good thing for a couple of reasons. Number one, we're trying to figure out what an Amy Grant sounded like. There wasn't an industry. There wasn't a Christian industry, and Amy never done a record. And her songs at that time were not mature. There were songs like Mountain Man, Won't You Come On Home. So, they weren't hit songs. But she would grow into be an incredible songwriter, but she wasn't at that age. And so we had to find songs from writers in my publishing company. And Lanier Ferguson wrote a song called Beautiful Music, which was the first single off that album and went top 10. Well, to the surprise of all of us, Amy, Brown, me, and Word, she sold like 50,000 records in 3 months. This is in a day when the Imperials are the biggest group in gospel music, sold 15,000 when they put out an album. So all of a sudden, Amy sells 50,000 like in 3 months. The cover was not that good. It was a sketch cover of this cute little girl. And they realized this was going to be such a phenomenal hit. They ditched it after 10,000 covers, and they put a whole different cover of her beautiful face, which she's a very, very beautiful girl. So those first 10,000 albums are kind of collector's pieces. It's the same album, but a different cover. So it was a surprise for all of us. Amy wasn't looking for a record deal. Brown, it was only the second or third record that I'd ever been involved in producing. This was part of the answer to my grandmother's prayer. Because my grandmother's prayer was to go and let little Chris go into the world and preach the gospel. And even though this was Amy's record going out there, I was the launch pad. Our production company was the launch pad. The missile had Amy Grant. We were not the missile. But the fact that I was involved in the launch pad of that and many other artists, BJ, the Imperials, Dan Peek, a lot of other artists, I felt like that was the answer to my grandmother's prayer of let little Chris go into the world and preach the gospel. And now with the internet, it really is all over the world.